Hello, my dear students. Welcome to this class. I hope you all are doing well under the circumstances. I wish we could see each other, but under these circumstances, let us proceed with our class like this using our web resources. So, today in this class, I'm introducing you to S. Joseph and his poem Identity Card. And this particular poem is actually prescribed for you for the General English paper in the 4th semester by Kerala University. So let us move on to discuss about our author S. Joseph. So he's a Malayalam poet who was born in Kottayam in 1965. He was born in a lovely village of Patithanam, and that actually has impacted his poetry. His poems have that beauty with the flavor of his village life, and while reading his poems, we are actually transported to the lush green world of paddy fields and coconut trees. And S. Joseph is the winner of Kerala Sahitya Academy Award in 2012. And he has become very famous as a poet of the Dalit life. His poetry is noted for the detailed portraits of Dalit life. While reading his work, we can see the lives of the subaltern, the people who are outside the mainstream of social life, the people who are marginalized, who don't have a role in the society and who are perceived as second class or third class individuals. S. Joseph now used his poetry as a medium to express his anguish and his disgust at the violence, hypocrisy, and injustice that prevails in the society. Among his many works are these collections: Karutha Kallu, Meenkaran, Uppante Kooval Varikkunnu, Chandranodoppam, etc. So these are his important works. Let's now move on to a reading of this poem, Identity Card. First, I will read you the poem in English and then in Malayalam. Okay. Identity Card. In my student days, a girl came laughing. Our hands met, kneading her rice and fish curry. On a bench, we became a Hindu-Christian family. I whiled away my time reading Neruda's poetry. And meanwhile, I misplaced my identity card. I noticed, she said, returning my card. The account of your stipend is entered there in red. These days, I never look at a boy and a girl lost in themselves. They will depart after a while. I won't be surprised even if they unite. Their identity cards won't have scribblings in red. Let's now read this in Malayalam. Identity card. പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന കാലം ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടി ചിരിച്ചു വന്നു. അവളുടെ ചോറിനും ചൂരമീൻ കറിക്കും മീതെ ഞങ്ങളുടെ കൈകൾ കുഴഞ്ഞു. ഞങ്ങളൊരു ബെഞ്ചിൽ ഹിന്ദു ക്രിസ്ത്യൻ കുടുംബമായി. ഞാൻ നെരൂദയുടെ കവിതകൾ വായിച്ചു നടന്നു. അതിനിടെ എൻ്റെ ഐഡൻറ്റിറ്റി കാർഡ് കളഞ്ഞുപോയി. ഞാൻ കണ്ടു. കാർഡ് തന്നിട്ട് അവൾ പറഞ്ഞു, ചുവന്ന പേന കൊണ്ട് അതിൽ കുറിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ സ്റ്റൈപ്പൻഡ് വാങ്ങിച്ച കണക്ക്. ഇക്കാലത്ത് ഒരു ആൺകുട്ടിയും പെൺകുട്ടിയും ഇരുന്ന് മറക്കുന്നത് നോക്കാറേയില്ല. അല്പം കഴിഞ്ഞവർ പിരിഞ്ഞു പോയിക്കോളും. ഇനി അവർ ഒരുമിച്ചാലും അത്ഭുതമില്ല. അവരുടെ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി കാർഡിൽ ചുവന്ന കുറിക്കലുകൾ ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. Now let's move on to discuss this poem. Let's start with a summary of the poem. This poem starts with a fond remembrance of a lost time in the past. Now the poet S. Joseph, this might be a real incident from his past, from his college days. So when he was a college student, he is reminiscing his juvenile affair with a classmate. Now we get a shred from this past relationship. At first we are given a very warm visual image. We see two young lovers sharing a lunch of rice and fish curry. They may be eating from a common plate or a common leaf. So they are sharing lunch. So it is actually a very intimate affair that they are sharing food, and while they are kneading rice, their hands meet, their hands touch each other. So the experience is rendered to be extremely romantic. Now sitting in a bench together, they bond together and they become a Hindu-Christian family. Now we understand that We know obviously that as Joseph is a Christian and this girl from his past is a Hindu. Now we can notice that this religion, the difference in religion is not an impediment in their relation. Anyway, he reveals this intense whirlwind romance, and he says that this was intense by reminiscing that he used to recite Pablo Neruda's poetry. Pablo Neruda is a Chilean poet. We will come to him in the next slide. And then all of a sudden, when we are presented this warm image and we are actually in our comfort zone, a sudden turn happens in the poem. One day, this guy misplaced his identity card and she found it. The lover found it and she returned to him. But as she is returning the identity card, something has changed in her attitude towards him. She points out that I checked the identity card. You have red markings in the identity card, which signifies that you have received stipend. Now, after that, obviously, these two had a fallout. They had to end their relationship, I guess. Now, nowadays, a change in attitude has come in the poet himself. He has become very indifferent to young lovers. Whenever he sees young lovers sitting together, immersed in themselves, completely lost, he doesn't actually believe in their relationship. He believes that after all, they are bound to separate. They will depart from each other after a while because caste and other factors might actually affect their relationship. And on another note, he says that even if they unite, he won't be surprised because for the people who unite, their identity cards will not have any red scribblings. That means they will probably will belong to an upper caste or the same caste, so there won't be any impediment of caste in their love. So that is a summary of the poem. So as you can see, this poem starts with a romantic picture. All of a sudden there is a turn, and when after the girl finds that her lover is actually a person who receives stipend from the government for belonging to the lower caste, their relationship ends. Now this incident has impacted the poet so much that his whole belief in love, romantic love, has shattered. Let us now move on to an analysis of the poem. Now, the poem starts by tricking the reader. At first, the poet presents a romantic memory, one of youthful romance and bliss. It is a very happy image. Two young lovers sharing food from a common plate, their hands meeting each other and all. So it's actually a very romantic picture. Now we feel like we have to read further what happens to these lovers. We want to see more of their youthful indulgence. But as the poet is talking about romance, he makes it clear that they belong to different religions. He says that he is a Christian and she is a Hindu. But apparently, religion is not an impediment in their relationship. Even though she belongs to another religion and he is a Christian, it doesn't matter in their relationship. But in the same vein, Joseph presupposes the politicization of the relationship. He mentions that he recites Pablo Neruda's poetry. Here we see that ഞാൻ നെരൂദയുടെ കവിതകൾ വായിച്ചു നടന്നു. I whiled away my time reading Neruda's poetry. It is not said here that he has read these poems to her. It might be his own favorite pastime to read Neruda's poetry. Now, Neruda is a Chilean poet. This is an image of Pablo Neruda. His poems are known for their intense romance and also revolutionary politics. He was a poet and a politician, a diplomat too. He led a very revolutionary life. So these ideas can be seen in his poems too. Now, why he is quoting Neruda here, why he is mentioning Pablo Neruda here, is to presuppose that this relationship which he has with his Hindu lover might turn political. Now it is romantic, it is idealistic, but at any moment, at any turn, their relationship can be politicized. That might be why Pablo Neruda is mentioned at this part of the poem. And then at this point, there is a sudden turn in the poem. One day, the poet loses his identity card. And this lost identity card is found by his lover, the girl. She opens it and she notices that there are red scribblings inside the identity card, which signifies that he receives a stipend payment from the government because he belongs to the lower caste. So it is for the first time that she comes to know that he is a lower caste Dalit. Now as she is returning the card, she points it out. If she didn't have a problem with his status, she wouldn't have pointed it out. But she points out that there are red scribblings signifying that you have received stipend. Now the relationship, even though as Joseph doesn't say that, it is obvious that the relationship has turned sour and it has ended because for generations we have been conditioned against caste mixing. We have been conditioned to marry within our own caste and definitely not to marry a person, not to marry or not to keep relations with a person from the lower caste. So because of this conditioning, that might be why even though they had an intense whirlwind romance, she probably or he probably backed out of the relationship. Anyway, how it happened, we haven't been revealed. It hasn't revealed yet to us. So then again, let's look at these red scribblings in his identity card. In the olden times, people used to wear caste marks on their forehead. Instead of this caste mark, these red scribblings, it has become the modern day caste mark. In this state, especially in the state of Kerala, Christianity was promised with the disappearance of caste identity and discrimination. When the missionaries first came to Kerala and in other parts of India, they noticed the caste system within Hinduism and they promised that with conversion to Christianity, the caste system will disappear and you will become equal with everybody else. But this was just a sham. It did not happen. Even though he is a Christian, his caste has followed him wherever he went, and it has even interfered in his romantic affair with a classmate who is an upper caste Hindu, obviously. Now, this incident has deeply hurt him. Even though he doesn't put it in so many words, it is within silences. It is known that the poet is deeply hurt. It has impacted the poet. Earlier, he believed in a very idealistic system where he can be in a relationship with anybody in the world and he might be happy to. But his whole belief system has now shattered regarding romantic liaisons and all. It has completely altered. Now, when he looks at modern day lovers, he feels nothing but disdain, distrust, and indifference. He doesn't believe that love can triumph over social parameters like class, caste, etc. Whenever two people fall in love, they have to be of the same caste, same class, etc. He doesn't believe in the revolutionary ideas of romantic liaisons. Now, this is a very short poem, but as we read it, we feel heavy in the heart because because of the magnitude of unsaid words and unexpressed pain. Because our birth was not our choice, but where we are born, when we are born into an underprivileged caste or class or section, the birth itself brings about pain, and this pain we can see in so many unsaid words and unexpressed emotions. Now, this poem, if we look at the style, it is written in free verse. It does not conform to any traditional forms of versification, because these forms of versification might be considered elitist and classist, and this does not suit for expressing the feelings of the marginalized, because the marginalized don't have any sense of belonging or agency in the society. The society is inherently classist and casteist. So in this particular society, the marginalized don't have their agency, they don't have any role, or they don't have a voice. So for the voiceless, the traditional styles of versification won't suit. That might be why S. Joseph has used free verse without any rhymes and meter and all in this particular poem. So that brings us to the end of this class. I hope you understood this poem and that you were touched by it. It is definitely a poem to consider, and definitely a lesson to take while you go forward in life, how sensitive the issue of caste is, and how to transcend these barriers brought forth by caste in your interpersonal relationships. Once again, thank you for listening till the end. Have a nice day. Bye.